I didn't turn them... Oh, Hello, everyone. Okay, yeah. So I didn't exactly remember to unmute it, and I was checking on some stuff, trying to fix some stuff, and forgot that the beginning of the whole video is going to be just us fiddling around. But
it's usually how it goes.
That is usually how it goes. I am... so we were going to do this thing that I have been calling in my own brain and have told nobody else. Hey, Jason. I call it idea farming. And really, it's just... Cassie and I have kind of landed on the concept that, in general, we don't need to worry about why we're creating something or exactly for what reason. We just can talk about it and create it, and maybe eventually it'll go in a world or something. But sometimes it's fun to just talk about what could happen free of the context of why.
Yes.
And Cassie, you were doing some world building, right?
Yeah, I was watching some master classes, trying to get some ideas on how should I world build and whatnot. That was really cool. But it led me to, of course, realize there's some things that I'm missing in my own kind of stories and world that I'm working on, such as what kind of government system. Because you do need to consider, what is the ruling power, if there is a ruling power. Like, that's going to be a huge, important part of the backdrop, basically, for the piece.
Yeah, and Cassie brought that up when we were just brainstorming about something, and I said, you know what, there's a perfect book for that. Be a Better Campaign Master, Book 1, Building the World, a book that happens to be on sale right now at absolutetabletop.com. It's on sale for the duration of the Absolute Tabletop Pool Party. This is a stream for the Absolute Tabletop Pool Party where we're going to make some stuff, and because Cassie mentioned that she's like, well, what kind of government, what types are there or whatever, we looked in the book and we were looking and immediately sort of ideas started flowing. And we were just talking about what different things would look like. I actually wrote down a bunch of ideas about this thing I ended up calling the lottery from one of the governments that was in the book.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, my God.
So it was just inspiration for a lot of different things. So in a sense, that idea farming. So Cassie, should we just jump in and look at some of the government types?
I think so. Yeah, why not? Because especially like that lottery one, what was that one called again? Trying to go through this wonderful book.
Yeah, so on page 96 are the government types.
Thank you.
I've got them on the stream here. I think you can see them.
Excellent.
So the cool thing is, this is 51 government types, and the main thing is, think of them less like how they would work in the real world, and this is just sort of an important concept when you're doing this idea farming. Everything we're doing is looking at stuff and we're trying to be inspired by it, right? We are doing the extra work to find the inspiration in it.
Yeah.
And so we're going to do a lot of sort of mental gymnastics, but it'll be simple, maybe jumps. But we can take some of these maybe and turn them into something that ends up not being a government style at all.
Yeah.
But okay, so looking at these, maybe we'll read a couple off. Hello, person. Person is
What's
here.
up,
and they
person?
say hello. Corey, hey, what up? I've landed at the Creation Station. Yes, Creation Station. That's perfect. So looking at some of these, Cassie and I, we picked some random ones, and we got actually really terrible ones, which was funny. But let's look at bureaucracy. This was a fun one.
Yeah.
Because let's take these literally, too. Yeah. A system of government in which most of the important decisions are made by bureaus, administrators, and petty officials, rather than by elected representatives. In a sense, it's a type of business, right? We only have this little spot here, but let's talk about some of the things that means, and this is one of the ones Cassie and I talked about. But for example, nobody's elected, so everything we know about politics would kind of go away. And if you think about it, you would kind of live in a society where you're like, oh, where do you live? Oh, I live in Florida. Oh, that's the one that's kind of run by bureaucrats. Like, it's just...
I just can't... The problem, though, is I can't not picture... the bureaucracy from...
In Futurama? Well, exactly, and that's what's interesting. Everything is like... That is bureaucracy to the maximum. And that's kind of what we're doing here. Seeing that and going, what would that look like? Oh, there's a whole... society of them, I guess. Hermes is part of, like, the bureaucrats, and it's all about what level stamp you get and everything.
What would it look like, do you think, if it was more simplified? I suppose, like, I don't know, I still want it to be interesting, but not interesting in the boring aesthetic that Futurama gives it.
Yeah, no, and so, for example, in here,
sure
if this is the system of government, what that means is, let's think about a problem you have. Okay, so... you need to talk to the IRS. This is maybe a bad example, but we're going to follow it. Because I was like, right now, you can't really do that. It's not handled well, but I guess that's not good. It's more about the people that make decisions. Right now, constituents tell their elected representatives, we feel strongly about this.
Yeah.
That all goes away. Somebody else is kind of making the decisions, but I think if you live in that type of society, remember, not everybody is a rebel. So it's almost like an accepted level of, no, they just handle it. You know, the government just handles it. I just go to work every day, you know. And what we're doing is we're setting up what might sound like sort of a silly, almost farcical premise, but by just putting that down, you know, and we don't really have to follow this necessarily, but
yeah.
I get to try to spell it. No, they fixed it for me. It was not good. Basically, by just like taking some pieces, we can start to just build random things. It's almost like even though we're looking at governments, we'll take pieces out and make something with them, or do other things. So even what's cool is just some of the descriptions make me think such specific things. So let's do another one. A demarchy, a government in which the state is governed by randomly selected decision makers by drawing lots.
That was it. Yep.
This was one that we read. Cassie and I read, and I thought at first that they meant that the decisions were made randomly, and that just had my mind going crazy. But what it really says is that the people that are selected to rule are the decision makers are decided by drawing lots.
Okay.
What's really interesting about that is basically the point would be like everybody gets a turn, or everybody has a chance at least to get a turn. And it destroys all the concepts you know about like political parties, right?
Yeah.
The other thing is we can take something like that and we can see how what we could do is figure out something else that would usually be elected or selected, like, you know, the CEO of a company, and imagine that instead this company, you know, of Tinker Dwarves that builds stuff.
Yeah.
They don't have a CEO every, you know, X months or whatever, every new project maybe. One person is selected randomly from the whole company.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to work, but somehow something got mixed up, and like sort of the Goblet of Fire thing, the wrong like person.
Somebody's name was put in there they shouldn't have been.
Yeah, the new kid becomes the head CEO. The story is that a new kid becomes the head CEO, but we started in a different place. We started by looking at what happened first and then kind of saying the details. We knew that somebody would be decided by drawing lots. That's the part we got from this. And things like that are what makes this book so interesting.
But it would still be so funny if just a random whatever person drew the lottery.
Exactly. And so that's actually a good point, is what we want to do, the inspirations we're looking for are...
I'm going to grab a napkin.
Yeah. The inspirations we're looking for are things that make us say that phrase. What was that phrase? What would that look like? I forgot I didn't zoom in. You guys probably can't see this. What would that look like? That's kind of what we really want to do, is what would that look like? And yeah, basically what we wanted to do was brainstorm. We wanted to start out with looking at these, but this book also has, we can look at a few more of these, but this book also has plot hooks that are actually specific to the government and a few other things. We'll look at that.
Yeah?
But we'll start with some of the government ones. But let's just look at a few more of these, because these are really cool. A feudalist society, a government most often governed, I think, by a hereditary class of military landowners whose exact goods and services form a peasant class in exchange for protection, featuring complex webs of loyalties and ranks. This is like feudalism one. Okay. I had a really hard time reading that.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say that. So that makes me think of like Japanese feudal lords.
Yes.
That's it exactly.
That's what's so cool, is by putting this sort of in the context of a government style, yeah, we can remove it from the time that it's in. But we should still look at the time that it's in to see what other things existed around then.
Yeah.
So I do love that idea of like, yeah, basically there's a government who has a hereditary class of military landowners who exact goods and services from a peasant class. Like,
yeah,
by abstracting those elements, you can make it like a Shadowrun sort of mega corporation situation and still make it a feudal hierarchy like that.
Yeah.
Where no, it's the landowners are the military, and that's why they're as powerful as they are, and you're peasants. I don't know exactly how peasants work. You know, I don't know enough about types of governments.
So you could do maybe like a crop republic feudalist society. What would that look? Because that's the one that I was interested in, crop republic.
Oh, okay. So we'll look at Crop Republic. A few people jumped in.
Oh,
I have a different. Too. Yeah. Macronomicon brought butter tarts. Hello, everyone.
I brought butter tarts.
Waiting on my sushi to show. About to be the feast of the fishies in this office. I love that.
I want sushi.
I know. I had some the other day.
I hope it's good. I hope it's great.
I hope that it is great. What did you get? Tell me in the chat what you got, and I will address it 10 minutes after you say it. It'll be great. But you said, what was it called? The
Crop Republic.
Crop Archy. That would be probably under C, huh?
Yes.
I don't see that one. Was it really called that? Oh, Crop Republic. It was.
Hey, there you go.
Okay, guys. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, yeah. What?
Crop Republic, a small nation dependent on one crop or resource.
Yes.
So, what about that sort of stuck out to you?
I was thinking that, well, you could have, like, feudalist lords maybe or something where each group or whatever, each clan,
okay,
they make their own faction.
We've got another book. No, that's good. I'm using that word because we have
yeah.
So we're gonna do faction master stuff too. But yeah, okay. So we're in a crop republic. There's feudal lords around a single resource, is what that said in the book. So we're just gonna write that.
Lords control one resource.
Multiple factions.
Yes.
And so
and loyalties.
So let's just talk about what that means to make sure we're on the same page. It's kind of like one area, say one town. I don't know.
Sure.
Right. That's what I mean. What is there something else you'd like? What does it look like? I know that sounds funny, but
let's say how our state is divided into counties. Let's say a county.
But remember, we have these feudal lords. Where do they live? Right? They live sort of on their own grounds. Think like Winterfell.
Right.
So like each lord probably has like
their
a
own
keep, right?
Yes.
Probably not as big as castles. Maybe the emperor has a castle. I don't know. We're making stuff up, right?
Yeah.
But the emperor lives in a castle.
Whoever they in turn plead loyalty to.
Exactly, which is probably some old emperor. And again, while you did mention sort of feudal Japanese, and that is what I'm thinking, eventually we're going to say something that removes that context.
Absolutely. That is just the starting
exactly,
layer.
Because that does give us a little context to pull from. But the emperor lives in a castle, but I'm imagining 3 other factions. And the thing is, the 3 factions are sort of always trying to be in favor.
Yes.
Right? Always trying to be in favor of the emperor.
The lord. The emperor.
So these 3 factions get up to things. They're always double crossing each other, and intrigue between factions. They're backstabbing. I was trying to think of other cool terms for that. Backbiting. Somebody told me. Let's see. Oh, hey Barker. Barker's here.
What's up, guys?
Tim's here too. Hey everyone.
Tim is having a rough night.
Butter tarts cooling, and my table full of papers, books, and maps, making a few items of legacy. That's awesome. Tim just got home from the grocery store, and the lamb he bought. Oh, and the lamb he bought is turned, and then.
Oh, that's a bummer.
And then he did an emoji with a disguise on it. I'm just calling him like I sees him, folks. I don't think we got from Jason what a sushi was. That's okay. I'm only a little bit sad. Yeah, okay.
Did I scroll up?
To address. No.
Okay.
I don't think he said. That's okay. I'm putting pressure on him. But okay. So we have these 3 factions. We're going to talk about what some of those are. So this is. Okay, so some of them, each of the factions has their own farm.
Yeah.
Of this resource, or maybe a mine. Well, okay. What's the resource? Go ahead.
It just reminded me that, of course, they did this in Mad Max as well. There was Guntown, Gastown, Guntown,
Bullet Farm.
Farm.
But absolutely. Okay, Cassie, latch onto that. That is what's called a what did we call it the other day? A context touchstone.
Yes.
Maybe a little long, but a touchstone in general.
Okay.
It's something we have in common that we can both pull from. It is exactly that. When one person gets in trouble, they call the other ones. And then Immortan Joe, he's the emperor.
Yep.
Now, again, I am currently imagining sort of a King Theoden under Grima Wormtongue style emperor. Not that he's being lied to, but that he literally was like, just hangs out and everybody... What is the fuck?
I have no idea what that is.
Okay, so in Lord of the Rings, in the second one, well, I mean in general, there's the king... Okay, it doesn't matter.
Okay, Lord of the Rings.
It's in Lord of the Rings. No, that's totally fine. No.
I just thought that was a really funny choice of like, yeah, she's gonna know this.
No. Well, okay,
she's gonna
reasonable.
Know what this
that was more for other people than for you. It's funny. I did a touchstone that I didn't fully consider if you had in common with me. That's on me, actually. I did a bad thing there by doing that, actually. So, but yes, but that's the only example I can think of. The important thing is an generally apathetic emperor, for some reason, not really getting involved.
Yes.
But it is all about favor with the emperor. Maybe he's very, it's not very often that he gives commandments, so when he does, it's a very big deal.
Yes.
And whatever. What's the resource? What is this? It said crop. It could be crop republic, but consider that it could also be any resource. It could be a mine. It could be.
Yeah.
But each of the families has different mines, and the emperor might cut up more. Are people saying funny things?
We gotta address the chat. I'm just not an expert. I'm just not an expert.
Oh, that's okay. Oh, people are talking about Lord of the Rings. Yeah, no, I am.
Corey.
It's funny.
Corey's giving me a hard time.
The funny thing is, I've got to say.
Okay. It is kind of funny.
I would say more than anything, you don't remember it because you've read some of the books, at least. I don't know that you finished all of them, but
I've read a bunch of it. It's been a long time.
But that's probably more than many people can say who've only seen the film. So it is a funny thing to say, yes, you don't know it, but I'm like, that doesn't mean you didn't read it, just that it didn't have the impact on you that it might have on other people. That's neither here nor there, but very interesting. Still nothing from Jason. Nope, he's just saying other stuff. No, that's okay.
He has moved on.
Talk about how awesome Dragon Grin is. Dragon Grin is so awesome. And the stream, yeah, okay. So, what is the resource that we want this town to be that the factions are fighting over? It could be a crop. It could still. There's no reason it can't be.
Yeah, we don't have to do the crop republic thing. I was trying
but that's the thing, exactly. It kind of it brought us to
Mad
the three factions exactly. So it's like in a sense, not exactly that we've moved on, but that we've kind of that. Yeah, we don't need to worry too much about that. Yeah, but so we have some government plot hooks, and maybe we'll look at a few of those and see what applies to us.
What page?
If that works. So I went up to 86. It's going to be 90 in the PDF.
Okay.
If you type in the number. If you're following along at home, this is going to be on the paint by numbers, number 17.
Government
yeah, no, Corey says you're good, Cassie. Just picking, of course, yeah.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And it's funny. I appreciate and could sort of tell how little it affected you. You're like, no, I didn't see it yet. You know what I mean? It's not there. We'll get to it. But okay, let's. We kind of are a monarchy, so we're gonna do monarchy, which, like I said, is on page 90/88.
Okay.
We should probably have dice and roll, but we're gonna pick random ones. The queen's chief advisor is a suit of armor that speaks to her telepathically, or so she says. Some say it speaks good things, while others say it whispers untold evils. Either way, it has gone missing.
Wait,
that's just cool.
Which one is that?
So on the monarchies table,
number.
That one was number 6.
There we go. Okay, I was looking for a number.
Oh yeah, no, that's okay. Let's see. Here's another one. This young prince became the ruling monarch when his widower father marched into a mountain said to be overrun with mad dwarves. It has been a year since his disappearance, and the unrest in the kingdom is beginning to grow. That's cool because maybe the emperor is missing, right? Because again, we're taking this and we're not like this is very specific, but that's okay.
Ooh, that's such a good backdrop. That was the theme in Howl's Moving Castle. The prince went missing, and that was like the reason for the war.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Yeah.
So, but in this case, I think we're gonna say emperor.
Yes.
I'm gonna take it. We're gonna say ruler. The ruler of these factions has disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we're taking what's in the book, and that's what's so good about it. It is sort of this. The plot hooks, especially in Campaign Master, are this perfect level of specific and vague that allows you to take it and kind of imply the archetypes that fit in it and just put it in your world. Because this gives us the ruler of this faction has disappeared, of these factions has disappeared. I'm keeping marched into a mountain. Said to be, we're just going to say of the dwarves. We're going to take away mad dwarves. But again, it's choose your own adventure here, right?
Yeah.
I do like that time has passed. It's been a little while since his disappearance, and I think that is going to be cause for the factions to starting to get a little braver in what they do, and eventually somebody's going to start looking at the throne,
Yeah.
It's been a little while since his...
Because maybe there's no heir.
Oh, since this has happened. That's fine. Yes, right, okay, maybe there's no heir, or the heir is not interested, or yes, for some reason this is almost put... not on hold, but it has created a little bit of a soft power vacuum.
Yes.
Something that I don't really know.
Right for a coup.
Yeah. But okay, so, I don't know. Did you want to start working on some of the factions?
I would love to
The
take a
Map
look at
Around
that,
the
yeah.
I read this as 80s government plot hooks. And I'm in a time warp now. I wish I knew more about the 80s to make jokes about that, especially the government in the 80s. I think there was a cartoon called Shadow Raiders where each planet possessed certain resources and they attacked one another. Like there was an ice planet, a swamp planet. Yeah, that sounds like a video game, Carpmageddon. Like the backdrop of a video game. For
Yeah,
sure.
it really does.
In D&D, they do this sort of thing with the dragon marks and their respective houses. I don't know exactly enough about that to get the context you're going for there, Carpmageddon.
I love
But I think I see what you mean. It's all factions, yeah. I love trying to say the names, too, all the time, like addressing them perfectly. It's great. This is great because I'm still developing politic and governments in my Stars Without Number campaign. That is very awesome.
Awesome. Yeah.
So let's build a faction.
Awesome.
Because that's the other thing we're doing. So this is Be a Better Faction Master. Another really cool book.
Let me get to that one.
Yeah. So right at the beginning, we start off on how to build a faction.
On page 1.
It's not actually on page 1. It's
No,
on
it's
page
not.
5. 5. This one is correct. We're cool, guys. We know how to make books. Don't tell anybody. This is just really good advice. But the main thing is it tells you, why does this faction exist? We have some resources. Okay, who are their leaders? We'll do some cool leaders. You'll probably have to buy the book to see all this. We're going to come up with some. We're just going to pull them out, right?
Okay.
So if you go to the faction generator on page 8 here.
Yes.
Tim says, okay, what if the Vizier, I think, what if the Vizio TV claims they get regular orders from the Emperor? Is it true? Okay, right. Because this is an exercise, let's say this. We talked earlier about the Queen that had we're keeping the suit of armor.
Okay.
The suit of armor that talks. We don't know exactly what that is. But I think that Tim, what you're saying, they get regular orders. They claim they get regular orders from the Emperor. I think one of the faction leaders is claiming this.
Okay.
Says he's in contact with the Emperor.
And it's the suit of armor.
I don't know. Maybe he talks to it through the suit of armor.
He's convinced that it's through the suit of armor.
Yeah, right. Maybe it's enchanted. Maybe something. The important thing is we had that piece, so it's almost like if we put in an enchanted suit of armor that you talk through, eventually we're going to have to solve the problem of how to make that cool, how to make that tonally appropriate, how to make it fit. And by doing it that way, I would never think to put that in my world. But having it in the book tells me to go, oh, okay, you have to figure out how making a suit of armor talk works, and it's not a little silly. That's your job, right? That's what you have to do. And I like doing it this way because then I can't constantly just convince myself that no, that I can't do that. That would be silly. That would be this. Like I disallow myself from not doing something that I should do. What's up? Yeah, hit me with what you got.
Somebody spoke through the suit of armor, but so for the moment I'm thinking castles, and from some books that I've read, it's not uncommon that you have secret passageways and whatnot. So the suit of armor, maybe in the back there's a brick. It's like against one of those passages, so you can move the brick, talk basically into the back of the armor, but like it echoes through it maybe.
Yeah, okay.
So you come up with something like that, and it could be somebody else manipulating.
Well, so first of all, I'm going to do that thing that I do and just say, in a way, you described like some functions of Amazon devices in castles, which I'm so into. So what I have for this is, okay, so what that means is there are talking suits of armor, and what it is it is a way that they communicate. Like you, in a sense, I don't know, it's a method of communication, like you said, basically, where you can talk and it echoes out of another one, and that's used somehow.
That'd be cool.
And this faction leader says that he's in contact with the Emperor through one of these, so it would be possible. But it's like, but you see what I mean? Now we have incorporated talking suits of armor, and I don't know, that could be cool because everybody could have different ones. We don't have to get into that, but like you always need a communication medium when you're creating something like this.
Somebody disguised it. They put this. Oh man, do you remember? It was old, but it was like how people would talk from floor to floor. It was a little megaphone. And you talk
so
into it, it goes down.
I was imagining just like a series of pipes and stuff. Yeah,
series of pipe, and somebody's like, let's do that from the suit of armor to the other suit of armor.
And that's what's interesting. Basically, that's what it is it's that simple. But then there could also be some magic. Like,
oh yeah.
The thing is, let's put it this way.
You turn a little knob, and then the runes change, and then you can contact this suit of armor.
Well, and think of it more this way is what I was thinking.
Okay.
Is that suits of armor are a mundane thing that you see in the world, And it's common that in some places they can be used to send messages throughout the keep, right? Remember we said these people live in kind of keeps. I'm thinking like Winterfell style keep.
Yeah.
Another good one is the keep at the base of the wall, the one that a lot of the stuff happens at. You know, it's kind of like a bunch of people live there. There's a barracks and stuff. It's not a town, but it's not one house.
Kind of, I almost imagine like a fort.
Yeah, a fort. That's another good word for it,
Yeah.
where it's like, it's sometimes there are walls and sometimes there aren't. They're just like it's a little community. The important thing is, within them, there are suits of armor to maybe talk between buildings, and it's all pipe-based and it's regular. But the special thing is, some people have suits of armor that can speak over great distances. That's the non-mundane thing.
Yeah.
And this person is claiming that they've been in contact with the Emperor over this. All of that, I know, is like, why would you talk so much about how they talk on the telephone? But that just gave us so much about the world. In my opinion, that gave me so much to draw from, and there's a little bit of tone. If you've ever wondered in a film that you love, or in my opinion, sometimes there are creators where I'm like, I don't even know how you would get there. I don't even know how you would ever make that in your mind. I'm beginning to have a better idea now where I'm like, well, no, sometimes it requires saying, this is what we're doing. It's talking suits of armor or it's nothing. And we're going to figure out how to make it work. We're going to do those mental gymnastics.
Absolutely. And
there's
that's
a bunch of stuff
half
in
of
the
the
chat,
fun anyways.
Exactly. The other thing is it's a ton of fun. Cassie and I just do, not as structured as this, looking through the book and stuff, but we'll just brainstorm stuff. And, there's what we brainstormed sort of people that I think evolved different types of feathers, and we likened it to, they had cycles. So like this whole culture goes through different cycles of like being very strong, almost like Phases of the Moon kind of. Yes, we'll focus on a little, but yeah.
I was reading a book about cycles regarding women, stuff like that, and just how crazy these hormone changes. And I'm like, what if we applied that to a species as a whole, where it's normal to just have this hormone cycle? And of course I was reading about birds. I really like birds, so I'm like, let's do feathers, let's make them like bird people. And at certain times of the year, I forget, I think I wrote it down somewhere, like how long the cycle is and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
But certain times of the year, they're going to be more masculine and like be able to hold muscle better. Other times they're a little more demure and their feathers would be dull and stuff like that.
But exactly, but we took the things that you were consuming. You were reading a really good book on feathers and about how it's basically like 3D printing keratin. Like feathers can be all, like the stuff that makes up feathers makes up so many different things on so many different animals. But that's a very good example of something that we just brainstormed because, like, I don't know, maybe one day that'll show up somewhere. But the fun was in making that and removing the concern of why you're making, these people or talking to the farmer.
And we did think about that, Josh.
I did want to address a lot of the chat because we
should.
had a lot more.
But for that most recent one, like, that's why we were thinking that societies would absolutely train their armies so that, like, they're staggered or something like that.
And we talked about how they might train some to be, better at fighting in the low point of the cycle, and they'd sort of be the standing army then, depending on what happened. There is a lot there, but that's what was interesting, is by taking this concept of a cycle and applying it, we can look at all of the different ways, and suddenly we have all these stories and plot hooks.
It would make a really interesting culture, I think.
Yeah.
I'd be very curious. So that's something that I'm still thinking about.
Yeah, exactly. And like, we started that because it was an example of something we just randomly brainstormed. So, yeah, obviously, yeah. But, so a person says, a cool type of government, this is way back. It's been a while since I got to catch up. Actually, Josh said, my game right now, the players mostly want headlines. The war between the two kings has started. King Harold is dead. His granddaughter is now queen. That's easy. It just reminds me of the newspaper spinning in and landing. Like that. Those are easy to write, I guess. I don't know exactly what you mean by that. But person, a cool type of government is a theocracy because the gods are the ones who lead the kingdom in a way.
A space
way.
Oh,
in a way. Okay, I see. It was, yes, that, yep. But yes, I that is a really cool one. I especially like that there's some other ruling class, especially if they're not, if they don't really have a stake in what's going on.
If the gods are real in this theocracy.
Well, exactly, yes. And I was imagining in this case a theocracy where they were. I think that's what they're saying, is the gods are actually the ones that lead them, so they have to be real.
That's true. This is D&D.
That exactly. But it can go either way.
Yeah.
There is something really cool about that. Carpmageddon, dragon marks essentially gift people certain abilities like control over life or the elements, and each house has become an industry and a monopoly on that particular industry. Okay, I feel like Last Airbender touches on that a little. Not about the... They commercialize the powers, basically, and yeah, I see what you mean there.
Oh,
you know, like we're using the electric to less in the Last Airbender. Yeah, and in Korra, it was more like
a little bit.
Yeah, like his job was to like shock the thing for power. I guess that's what I mean. Is blue collar jobs were using your magic, basically. Tim, basically, if Theoden went missing, but Grima says, "Here are the king's orders for that week." Josh, what if the suit of armor was connected to someone, and when they wanted, they could inhabit the armor via spectral image? I do really like that somebody could astrally sort of project, but into different places, different suits of armor. You can imagine like a being that's how they do it, is they have different suits of armor in different places.
Yeah.
Like there's books and stuff where you have a house, and there are portals all over your house where you go through the portals and you come out on a different planet, but it's another room of your house, you know?
Yeah.
It's like that, but I imagine you're like, oh, I need to go to the workshop. You teleport to the workshop body. You know, you transfer your consciousness into it, and you can keep working on whatever. But if you need to go to the kitchen, you take your consciousness leaves and goes into something else. But I'm just imagining like statues all over your house, or all over all kinds of different places.
I feel like that would be really cool for like a tome heart or something.
Yes, yeah, with the ability to like jump between the different ones and
jump between its different bodies.
Yeah,
that'd be so cool.
But Carpengeddon says, yeah, I'm fancy. I have a 3-piece suit of armor, says Josh. What you looking at? I say everybody else's name, but I say Josh for him. I've got 2 streams going, trying to enjoy the entire pool. Yeah, I was very sad to schedule this at the same time as Keels. He was first, but this was a really good time slot, and I have something tomorrow during the day and at night, and the next is there was no other time, so I was sad about that, but cute. Gods turn out to be vampires, demons, or illithid. Then everyone freaks out in the theocracy. So I do really like that it's a theocracy. It reminds me, in vague ways, of some of the way Castlevania was.
Oh,
when
man,
you were
that
watching
was fun.
Castlevania. Cassie watched Castlevania on Netflix, and that was like...
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah, it was really cool, but it reminded me where there was like this sort of hidden game going on. There are people in the show it's all about, but
absolutely.
like the power of the vampires and stuff, and I love the idea that there's this very powerful theocratic society, and then they find out that they're being run by vampires or some other entity, or something like that would be really cool. Okay, internet, you're drunk, go home. Josh says, I do want to run a game where aliens are attacking and the players are all monsters. That is really interesting. And Map Around Macon says, they're just idea farming in Kiel right now. I'm not sure. That was all I saw in the... Cole put together a really helpful schedule, and
yes.
that was the only thing I saw.
I
don't know if it is. So... How are you feeling? Do you want to make a faction? You want to see what?
Yeah, we can still make a faction. I'm happy. I'm enjoying my tea.
No, that's good. I just wanted to make sure we weren't leaving any threads, or like that I didn't like interrupt you and say something and then forget. Like just making sure.
We are good to go.
So let's look at some of the things. So we have the motivation, the background, the leader, and the sigil.
Yes.
And so I love the motivation of hunting monsters.
I see it.
So yeah. So faction 1, faction 2, faction 3. And we're going to go, okay, motivation, hunting
monsters. Them dang monsters.
Monstars from
Monstars. Oh my god.
Listen, I get to type whatever I want. Person. Based on the idea of spectrally inhabiting a suit of armor, there could be a person who no longer has a body and has a lot of different suits of armor that they inhabit. That sounds like exactly what we were talking about.
Sounds like somebody wanted to be immortal, and that was the only solution they could find.
Yeah, right? I really like that. That's a common one, is that you have to, go into a different body.
Right.
That's a common trope.
Ultron, yeah.
Okay, background, leader, and sigil. So we're going to probably at least do background. We'll do leader, and we'll see. Yeah, we will. I'm going to type them all. Now messed that up. Right, good. Okay.
What are you doing? Okay.
So I was just setting some stuff up. So we're making 3 factions
that
are vying for power. One of them is a Monster Hunters faction.
Awesome.
What I think that means is, just so we're on the same page, what I think I'd like for that to mean is, that is the thing that they get paid for. So imagine, as cool as it sounds, I'm imagining that it is like a job to people. Just like,
More like a guild.
Yes, like a guild. I guess the main thing is it's not crazy glorified. There are probably some people that hunt the bigger monsters and get more fame, but like the people that are just hunting like carrion crawlers, you're just pest control, but it's so dangerous.
Are these guys nomads, or is there actually like a town that has gradually grown? It happens to all be monster hunters, like.
So that's the thing. That is the trade, the export of one of the factions. Think of it that way, where sometimes they go to neighboring towns to kill a monster. Sometimes there's like an open call in a different place, you know.
Okay.
But there's like a monster hunting school. Like that's the trade that these people ply.
Like The Witcher. There's
like
a
The
school,
Witcher.
basically.
But think about one of the other factions might be blacksmithing.
Yeah.
They make armor, but it's not just for within them. They might make a really nice sword, or maybe they'll have to make 100 of just a basic sword for the army.
But Faction 1 is known for monster hunters.
For monster hunting.
Okay.
And that's the thing. To say that is more like to give you a better impression. I should say large pest control.
Yes.
It's funny when I type stuff, I forget you can't see it, so I type it for effect, and then I have to tell you.
I appreciate it.
Let's see. Ultron. Ooh, what if the aliens created the humanoids to combat the monstrous races, the natural inhabitants? They're brainstorming in the chat. This is amazing. Hit enter accidentally. Like Johann Kraus from Hellboy.
I think that would be a cool thing. What if
I think
humans
he was
were
able
made to combat the aliens? Is that it?
Well,
Aliens
Cartmageddon was saying that to Josh about the in the game where the aliens are attacking and the players are vampires and lycanthropes.
Okay.
It's an alien invasion, but you're a monster. And that's what was cool is they were brainstorming in the chat about that. Yeah.
I was starting to think a story of where like monsters, and whatnot control the world, but they make humans because they're like, nah, humans are the only ones that can actually deal with these aliens.
Oh, I see.
For whatever reason.
Yeah, I do. That's the thing. I do love that as a premise because to say what if about something like that is to if necessary take on the responsibility of telling that story because it does seem like it would be an interesting story. I wanted it like the aliens are taking their food supply, but that'd be an interesting twist. I do like that. But okay, so. What we're gonna do the sigil of one of them.
Mapronomicon says, real world twist, monsters actually run our own world.
Real world twist, monsters actually run our own world. I love that. That's what we'll make a game about that. It's called Second Life. I don't know. A faction of blacksmiths that keep the best stuff for themselves and are like Iron Man / armorer type artificers. Okay, so we've upgraded the blacksmiths in the town to artificers.
All right.
And the way we're going to use that, that same concept, I'm using, I said motivation, but that's not, I'm very confused. I didn't read what the table was, so I just had a moment of dissonance there where I was very confused. But the faction 2, maybe we were just saying what they were, I don't know.
We were just doing them. How about returning to the old ways?
For what? The motivation?
For another faction. That's a different faction's motivation.
Motivation, yeah. So that's the thing. Yeah, let's say that faction 3, they want to return to the old ways. Because why not? I just forgot which part I was filling out, and that was my bad. Okay, actually, I realized I can ask you. The Artificers, what should their background be? We don't have to pick, but we can even look at some on there and then like make our own. So one of them once pious, but now more materialistic in nature. Right, on that same roll table, but it's the second one, it's motivation background, right? Formerly a guild of witch hunters. So it could be, what they used to be, or obviously that's their background.
I do like the idea of them being, like, once very pious, and maybe making their art, their smith works, blacksmithing works, knives, etc. Like, for their god, but then it does become a lucrative trade.
Yeah. And okay. Let's take what somebody else said in the chat.
Please.
Why aren't weapons in this treated like arms dealers today? I don't know. Is this full plate armor? I was imagining, if you're talking about the armor that they talk to, I was imagining all different types. I don't know actually at all what you're talking about. Full plate armor.
Yeah, we gotta go. We're backing up.
I was gonna say, you'll have to let me know because I can talk a lot about any of the armors, but I don't know. So yes, if you explain that question a little more, I will answer it. But the Artificers. Let's say that somebody in the chat said maybe they keep everything for themselves. They keep all the best stuff for themselves. A faction of blacksmiths that keep the stuff for themselves. The reason I say that is because maybe if you're a part of if you follow their religion, whatever this is, you can sort of have access to. It's like they keep it within the family. They don't sell the best stuff outside of their, religion.
Exactly.
So pious.
Weaponsmith. Thank you, Josh. That's
what's it called?
What I was looking for.
Internal. No, like somebody that keeps to themselves. Isolationist.
Yeah.
Leanings. Yeah, that's their background of the artificers who
You're like a closed society.
Yeah, like
bit of a closed
the Amish
society.
or something, where they pass their trade on by apprenticeship, and they don't write it down. And I don't know if any of this is like Amish, but this is what these people are like. And they keep it in within the people that are. I don't know what it's called. If it's like
who's in there? Who's
like
in
a
their
guild, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, but it is. It's a piety thing. It is a god thing. I forgot. Okay, pious isolationist leanings, only the best for their own. I don't know if that is clear enough. You should check out Oblivion. If applied to traditional swords and sorcery, it could turn the whole genre on its head, says Cart McGetting, talking to Josh. Love the Tim Cruise movie. Who's Long Tim? Is there anything else you want to say about this world or make about this world? Is there anything that's grabbing you? Do you want to keep making the factions? What do you think? Was there anything else you wanted to talk about? We can talk about other things that are happening in this world. Oh, we had some. We can do some. There are different adventure area plot hooks. This was another really cool part.
I would like to see that. Yeah.
Campaign master. So yeah. So
plot hooks.
So what we're gonna do is let's do ruins first. So we're gonna put some ruins in our world. So on page 106, which would be 108 in the PDF. Again, if you're following along at home, or you are Cassie, who is following along at her home, we really should roll dice, but it's just
tell me the numbers.
Well, we're gonna.
When you pick
you should pick one actually. How about you pick one? Is that?
I'm not gonna look at it. Not looking at it. I'm just gonna scroll.
Oh, okay, and then have your okay, perfect. Cassie's gonna pick one at random.
8384. This abandoned and rundown mansion has partially collapsed in on itself.
Okay. So, there's a mansion. Yeah. So, there's what?
Oh, it just sounds silly when I was thinking feudalistic lords and stuff, and then a mansion.
Well, so, okay, right? That is funny. So, we're going to do the mental gymnastics. Okay. Immediately, what it made me think is, there used to be 4 factions. Oh. There's an abandoned keep somewhere. Now, here's the touchstone for the abandoned keep. Yeah. The I wish I knew more what it was, but it's the house that the Reigns of Castamere is written about. It must be Casterly Rock. I don't know, guys. I don't know a Game of Thrones, but if you remember the deal about my tongue itches, guys. What the heck? The deal with that song is that they tried to rise up against the Lannisters, I believe, and they got put right down, and that was the origin of the halls being empty, and then in the song. Am I making all this up? I don't know.
No. It's just been a long time since I've looked at the lyrics of the Reigns of Castamere.
Oh, okay, that's right. Yeah.
Because I feel like it would be something else, but there's so much lore that
we're just gonna look it up, guys. I forget sometimes we can just look it up. That's the answer to all of our problems.
It is.
House Rain was obliterated after they rebelled against their liege lord Tytos Lannister? I don't know, Game of Thrones, who is perceived to be weak by his own vassals. But so that's what it was, is a house rebelled against their liege lord.
So the Rain House. Perfect.
Exactly. Okay. So there's an abandoned keep of the house of the faction that rebelled. To put it in more modern terms, there was a whiff of unionizing over at this faction, and they got shut down. But if you're watching Superstore, I am not watching Superstore. I haven't finished it. I don't know why I said that. Somebody said it in a video recently, which I guess is why. Anybody going to watch the Green Knight movie? It looks amazing. Man, I am just on a different planet. I haven't seen that movie. I haven't seen that.
I'm very curious. I haven't seen the trailer, but I've read that.
Oh, okay. You've heard about it. This is the first time hearing. This is the first time hearing about any of this Green Knight movie business.
This is Green Knight nonsense.
One of the factions fight over who gets the land of the old faction. Okay, one of the issues, right? Let's go conflicts.
Absolutely. That's a power vacuum right there. So he needs to take that land.
And that's part of what's wrong is there's no emperor to sort of sort it out. Usually they would. So at some point somebody's gonna maybe start using the barn for something, you know, and then at some point somebody else, and that's a bad example, there's not, but you know what I mean, like somebody might just make their land a little bit bigger, move their fence a little, you know, and what's going to happen? What are they going to do? There's no way for anybody to solve it, but that's going to slowly.
And then what if the peasants that live there decide that they want to try and rebel as well? They're like, oh wait, our lord's gone, but we have to take care of ourselves.
Right. Some people live there.
Somebody's going to take charge.
Yes. So the existing 3 factions are eyeing deliciously, I don't know, weird way to put it, the leftover land from the
fourth faction. Yeah.
Fourth faction. So yes, I love that as a conflict. Ruin ancient spaceship that crashed ages ago. That part that sticks out of the ground turned into a temple or a center of theocratic city. Only the ruling clergy knows what lies beneath. I love a good like temple with something underneath it, like go downstairs and it's an alien ship. That is just that's so cool. I don't remember what. Oh, you read that from the. Who said that?
What?
That thing about what we just did. Oh, a person said it. Sorry, I missed that in the chat, and I was like, I swear I read it here. I went back to the chat to find. So, but okay, so that is definitely one of the conflicts. So let's talk about some other ruins. What about destroyed in a siege? This enormous stone structure once belonged to the dwarves. I'm into that. I'm so into that.
Ooh.
So we're just gonna. Maybe this is where the emperor is said to have gone. Right? We said that they marched into the mountain. Yeah, go ahead.
The dwarf ruins.
Yeah. So now instead, maybe there's like a like really heavy like stone dwarf ruins, maybe beautifully built. I don't know. We don't know much about the dwarves here, but
I'm imagining Lord of the Rings.
Well, okay, yeah. I'm imagining more created, more Minecrafty. I don't know if that makes sense, but like
something a little more humble.
Yeah, humble's a good way to put it, right? Like Lord of the Rings is like the theme is overdone.
Oh yeah,
like to the max. So
the max.
So yes, it would be a little bit less. Okay, but it would be like I'm imagining people don't go there and they don't know what the dwarves do. Like the people have got their own stuff going on, and the dwarves never come up. And honestly, people just aren't curious. They're not interested. But now that the emperor's gone there.
But like we have to go check it out.
There's almost certainly been other signs. We still don't know what the resource is. There have been other signs that the dwarves are around again. I don't know. The important thing is it seems like I'm just like putting down potentially a bunch of random things, but what we have is each time we're adding something, it's interconnected with other things. But as long as every time we get something, we kind of tie it in, we can pull these ideas from anywhere. We can pull them from the Faction Master book or the Campaign Master book.
Or whatever we read.
Exactly. And this type of backdrop allows you... It makes it so much easier to say something like, okay, well, what are the players doing in this world? Oh, well, they're artificers here, so there would be some sort of demonstration of one of the... You immediately just know something a player could do. You have a concrete thing where you go, oh, they're going to have this interaction. They're going to do this thing. There's an abandoned keep. There's immediately a place for them to go. You know you have the abandoned keep because we read the roll table. You know what I mean? But so by putting down these random things, very abstract, we're going to extract concrete things from them. There's an abandoned keep of the faction that rebelled, so eventually the players are going to potentially be able to go to this abandoned keep.
I like it.
Tim, yeah, Green Knight. Everybody, Tim says he's got his tickets for next Friday. Dang. They're definitely okay, I'm going way back. I keep expecting you to say a rebellion in the House of the Rising Sun. As Lex Luthor said, they just don't make land anymore. Always a source of war. I remember that, the Superman movie, where he grew land. I'm pretty sure that was the plot. There definitely should be an artifact supposedly buried within that keeps the keep that the faction's looking for. Okay, all right. Let's take that and run with it.
All right.
The abandoned keep. This faction was said to have a great artifact. The thing is, it was protected. And it still is.
Ooh.
So there's like... People do know about this great thing that's in the keep, but one, if you're seen going on their land, that's not allowed right now.
Yeah.
You know, at least probably decreed by the Emperor, but he's gone now, so... that's the rule people are going to slowly start breaking and pushing. But at first, it's kind of like, oh, nobody goes. But people sneak in. Maybe a few people went missing, yeah.
No, I was just agreeing with you.
Oh, yeah. So, but that idea that, like, yes, I love the idea that people have their eye on something. There's the potential for some great treasure to be in this abandoned keep. Because
I feel like it should be probably dwarf related. In that case, this is the ruins.
I love that it's dwarf related. Yeah.
Especially because there was that dwarf monument or whatever, that stone thing that we talked about. Like, absolutely what they're hiding should be related to that somehow.
I don't remember.
I thought we talked about...
I'm sure we did. I'm sorry. The stone structure. The enormous stone structure that belonged to the dwarves. Yeah, sorry. Yes, of course. That makes sense.
That's our foreshadowing.
Yeah, exactly. the dwarves are involved. And I forgot that it was actually destroyed, so that's the other reason the humans just assume it's a ruin.
Yeah.
But I think, like, that dwarves do live there and that they went. But exactly, just like you said, this artifact is dwarf-related, sort of on principle of the fact that, well, we have the factions and the dwarves, so we're just gonna tie them together because they have to be related to something or they're not in the story, you know? But that's not a bad thing, right? Dwarf-related... And maybe that is also related, and almost certainly related, to why the king disappeared. King, emperor, or whatever.
Yeah.
We don't know. But we're just setting, like, this backdrop. Let's see. So, it would be cool if the resource of the old abandoned mine, or whatever, contained the material that was used to make the suits. I do like that. Because we still haven't decided what the resource is, so maybe...
Oh, I didn't even know if the suits were going to be a part of this world or not.
Well, maybe not. I think the suits could just be a regular part of this world. And like I said, there are maybe some other magic ones, you know. I'm going to address the chat a little bit. We will probably be wrapping up here pretty soon. Throw any questions out if you have them, and we'll answer them quickly at the end. No, but really, throw out any questions you have. I'll address some more chat. Mapronomicon says, a thin vein of metal that had to literally tear down a mountain, build a home, a few centuries development go by, dwarves, etc., and all that just to produce a suit of armor. That's really cool. I really love that there would be... That is just a cool, like, creation myth for a suit of armor. Like use that in your next game to say, yeah, this suit of armor... mountains had to be leveled to create this, you know? And I don't know how strong or magical or whatever that would be.
I do like that one.
That's just a really cool idea.
Maybe it wouldn't be used to make a whole suit of armor. I don't know.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is, in my mind, just consider that there's some resource that there's so little of. Think of it more like, there's some resource that there's so little of that to find enough of it to make something worthwhile took so long, and that's what makes it so expensive.
Yeah.
You know, because I see what you mean, like, but just imagine more of that they're like, no, for centuries people found every little bit of this they could make, because theoretically they could put it all together and make this crazy suit of armor, you know. I really love that idea. Josh says, I don't know Pokemon well. I was a tad bit too old, though I let my players add something to the world, and my 11-year-old cousin added Charizard. I remember you mentioning that. I don't remember if he got to play Charizard or if he was just in there. Tim says, that could be the Dwarven Keep that used to be where the dwarves lived above ground. Perhaps they tried to usurp another faction and lost. That was all that remains. They were driven underground. So I think that the dwarves will be a little more mysterious. Yes. But I am imagining that they were like... People hear stories about what it was like when the people of the factions did like deals with the dwarves, but then one day they disappeared. Maybe something happened, maybe not. But yes, definitely like a driven underground. There'd be no reason people would expect the king to go to the ruins, you know?
Yeah, like why would he bother?
They would expect it would be totally empty, devoid of life, and potentially only inhabited by like monsters or bad things.
So why does the king go to the ruin?
Oh, okay. Here, can I just tell you my favorite part?
Tell me.
I got you with that question because you're like, wait, we're not ending the stream until we find out. Here's the thing: what's the dwarves' deal? I feel like the emperor had to go to the dwarves because he found out maybe about something one of the factions was doing, and had to leave. I don't know. You know, like something like bigger than all of us is what I would call it.
Yeah.
The king is like, or the emperor or whatever. And maybe not. Maybe it's like the emperor died or something, and the heir, because we talked about the prince, the heir disappears. So it's even crazier, because then you're following a younger person who is like trying to discover something. I don't know. I have no idea.
I'll have to think about it.
Yeah, but it's interesting because it does beg that question. We don't know why. But
that has to be a huge reason if a monarch, an emperor, is going to leave his station.
Right?
And go rough it.
Think of it instead like a problem we have to solve.
Yes.
We have to make sure it's believable, but because every story can be told, I've never said it that way,
Corey suggests an ancient crystal. That's definitely a possibility.
Yeah, I'm imagining the king finds out about some events set in motion that he has to go talk to the dwarves, and the dwarves are like, "Oh, you know about that too?" Or maybe I don't know. I don't know. But that's what's interesting. What I would do is I would look, because we're gonna start finishing. Yeah, go ahead.
What if it's like there was a soothsayer or something, and they said, "Hey, there's going to be a lot of seismic activity going on. Maybe earthquakes are on the horizon." So, like, maybe he would go to the dwarves for help because they live underground.
Oh, okay, yeah, something like that.
Like, he's just vying for help.
And that's a good example, because think about what you've said, in a sense, is something that he has no reason to tell the people. Like, something that he has a reason to keep a secret, but is important enough for him to go do himself.
Yeah.
Which, like I said, a lot of times would have to do with some sort of betrayal, especially if he would have to go specifically, or maybe there's like some treaty, or he needs their help, and the people wouldn't. I don't know. I think that there are a lot of different reasons.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is the fact that we can't find it means we don't know enough of the other details. I'd start making stuff about dwarves and other parts of the world, what monsters are being.
Right. I want to know about the world now, because if there's seismic activity, if we stick with that idea, then I need to start forming the world around that a little bit more.
And that's the thing. Well, if just imagine that, consider it more this way. The king finds out that the big volcano is going to erupt. So I see what you mean, but it wouldn't have to necessarily be a function of the world. It could be a once in a million years event, but it's going to happen soon, and he finds out.
Yeah.
And so we've got to get everybody involved. I don't know.
The fortune teller is true.
Exactly. I do love the Cartmageddon did say make it like vibranium in Wakanda, exactly like that. And that's where we started. In one of our plot hooks, it was they have a resource, and it might be this metal. But I love the Cartmageddon, the fantasy mech, like Escaflowne. They just go right past a regular suit of armor. I heard someone the other day call Attack on Titan's giant skin mechs. That's what they look like. Yes, Corey, like you said,
they are skin mechs. They might as well be skin mechs.
I like the idea of a mineral or material source being so incredibly rare that there's only a tiny bit of it to do anything with. I really, really like that, because the other thing is, we did that a little bit in Dragon Grin, actually. There's a crystal that was ever growing, and then it stopped growing. And it was like a resource that this culture uses, and they embed in themselves, and they use for all these different things. And suddenly, as like a part of their culture, that like stopped growing. And suddenly
like,
an infinite resource became a finite resource.
Yes.
So yeah, I think that's really cool.
Cartmageddon said seismic activity is a fire primordial awakening. Something like that would be a lot of fun.
I think that is really cool. Yeah, absolutely. Maybe it's just iron or Band of Enchanted Mithril iron, where the material isn't unique, but what happened to it makes it unique. I really like stuff like that, too. Like different pairings of different things.
Maybe the dwarves actually are encouraging the primordial to awake, because with its awakening, it's also going to have an upheaval of iron and metals and stuff that they want.
Oh, okay. It's almost like... Okay, yeah, like getting more materials. Somebody sees a way to open up more opportunities by waking a fire primordial and almost potentially ending the earth or something. Like, I really like that, because it's sort of a fantasy, like industrial revolution style thing, where it's like, yeah, we're gonna poke the bear that lives underground, so that maybe we'll get some more iron, or something.
Yeah, like maybe it'll bring up some gold. It'll make some diamond crystallization.
Oh, right. Maybe there are stories from a long time ago of like, oh yeah, and spouts of lava. Golden lava came from the golden magma came from the ground or whatever.
That's the lore for how the first, lines of.
Oh, the veins of this stuff? Yeah, exactly.
It was the passing of the primordial brought the veins from the depths, and that's how we got to take them.
It's like, that's really cool. Yeah, so really awesome. Yeah, we're going to start wrapping up here, streaming for just about an hour. Right, there's a dwarf named Ivan, and a bunch of rangers are after him. Wait, I think I saw a movie about that. Josh said, this world is reminding me of a Sanderson book for some reason. That's really interesting.
I haven't read him in a while, but it's totally possible that I am unconsciously pulling stuff from that.
Well, and that's what's interesting. We got so many things. Well, okay, we did talk earlier about the feathers and stuff,
metals and whatnot. That's all.
Yeah, like in a sense, you are steeped in that because you read some of it, and it's like it can be likened to a Sanderson book, but that's not. It only has it in common. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot I think that can be said about that, but person, if the factions come across another society, could an individual faction go to war with it, or do they all have to agree before they take action? So basically, how do they interact with those societies? I think that war could only be called by the ruler, but this would likely be, at least what I'm imagining, would be a time of peace so that the conflicts could be internal rather than external.
Right.
But I do imagine a society where they would probably... because if you remember, we sort of went feudal society. The families control the military. They would sort of.
They could wage war.
They could do whatever they wanted among themselves or outside, but to have it sort of officially sanctioned by the place they live, it would have to go through the emperor.
Yeah.
So it's like you can go like raid other people, but also if you bring trouble to your doorstep, you're not going to be a big family anymore. So yes, but it's a very precarious position sometimes. Very, very good question. I love that. Vitrified mithril is cool. I'm absolutely using this. Use everything. I don't even think it was stuff we came up with. I think it was other stuff you guys did in the chat. That's the coolest part. That's my favorite part, to have the pool party and people are in the hot tub coming up with something even cooler, and it's just the best thing. So they're poking fire at the elemental bear for more resources. Yeah.
Basically.
A rift between realities opens and a nuke from our world goes there, explodes, and radiates all the iron. That is like literally opening a time portal and throwing a nuke through it. Wait a minute.
Sounds like a Rick and Morty thing.
That sounds just like a Rick and Morty thing, yeah. Nukes coming through interdimensional portals between realities. The crystal is the heart of an underground beast. There we go. I love that kind of thing. That's a spoiler. I was about to say something. We saw that in recent images. Oh, that's a pretty big spoiler if I say what that was.
Moana?
No.
I thought her heart was a little rock.
Oh, no. Howl's Moving Castle.
Yes.
But now that we've said that, doesn't matter.
He ate a star.
Yeah, spoilers is what I was saying. I know.
Sorry.
It's not really a spoiler. Those movies don't really have spoilers. I'm definitely making a joke. That's absolutely not a spoiler. It's just something that happens near the end of the movie. An Earth Primordial's heart is the crystal. I used to have to farm these specific items from the fire elementals in World of Warcraft to make a special enchantment. I really did that. That's so funny to say.
I believe you.
That's wonderful. Maybe the heart of a long dead titan that became the land they live on. Hot tub show at our place. Such a great stream. Thank you so much for saying Rappernomicon. Hopefully everybody enjoyed this.
Thank you.
This has been really cool. I think I forgot to change your Instagram thing. It's
that's
Cassie
okay.
Art, but we'll change it to something else.
Oh
later.
yeah, my I'm gonna just type it in the chat.
Sounds good. So I did want to do something. I have to stall while I get it ready, but I wanted to, for anybody that is here, I wanted to send you over, if you're still just interested in watching something to play. Keel is running
check
the
out his
Mecha
thing.
Hack. His symbiotic super destroyer game is happening right now. Oh, and there's some cool effects going on. So
I can't wait to see it. I'm not sitting next to James, so I can't see it right now.
She can't actually see it, but he's got this really cool overlay, and there's like a cutout, and it's I just opened it to send it to everybody, and there was like cool like space flying by. I don't know. It's awesome. I'm excited to go. So if you will, I will see you guys over in Keel's chat. We're gonna wrap this up. Is there anything else you'd like to say, Cassie?
No, thanks for joining us. This was a lot of fun. Like getting to talk about these factions, and I didn't know there were so many governments. I know we only looked at them pretty briefly.
Oh yeah,
cool.
but that list. That's one of my favorite parts about that book is that list, because there's just so many ideas in that, even if they're not ideas for governments. So, so glad you enjoyed it. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Kicked off the AbTab pool party. We've got a bunch of stuff going on. I have a stream with Tim tomorrow during the day. Barker's doing something at 10 a.m. tomorrow, Eastern, 10 a.m. Eastern. He's going to do more stuff with the same books we were looking at. There's more stuff.
Yeah,
I have a stream with Keel, I think, tomorrow night. Bunch of stuff going on. Check out and the Absolute Tabletop Facebook group. There's the Absolute Tabletop pool party happening all this weekend. There's going to be a bunch of cool events and stuff going on. So, like I said, in the chat, go check out Keel's Mecha Hack game. But otherwise, we will see all of you next time. Sometime tomorrow, hopefully, you'll join us.
See you guys. Thanks for hanging out.